Welcome to the chat, where we talk about all things Chatham. I'm Catherine Glasby, Public Information Director for Chatham County, and I'm here with Ture Carlson, our Director of Mosquito Control for Chatham County. Welcome, Ture.
Thanks for having me.
So you're a veteran of our podcast. You've been here before. You know what we're doing, what we're talking about. But I know I've lived in Savannah all my life. I won't say how long that is, but we're going on half a century here. You can't live in Chatham County if we don't have mosquito control. So it makes your job here very important and what your team does. Give us a little bit of background about what you guys do and how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, mosquito control has been a staple here. I mean, even before it was a county program, when the U.S. Department of Public Health, the predecessor of the CDC, was here doing some mosquito control. So you go way back before the 50s into the 40s and so on. But yeah, mosquito control itself has been a department since 1956 when it was voted into place by the citizens of the county. So it was voted in for a reason, and that's because when you're on the coast, the mosquito population can just get overwhelming. And there's no other way to put it, to tell you the truth. There's no nice way to say it. It is staggering numbers of mosquitoes along the coast, up and down from Florida up to the Carolinas. So, and we're right in the middle of that. So we see it annually with big tides and big rains, and God forbid there's a storm.
Right. So. And we're going to talk about our latest storm and how that impacted you guys in a few minutes. But tell us a little bit about the mosquitoes that you find here, because we have, I lump them into two big categories, and I'm just being the Google mosquito control person here. I look at the nuisance ones that bite me all the time when I'm out walking my dog, and then the ones that carry disease.
Yeah, that's the big, that we kind of use the same lump, I'll put it that way. There is just an overwhelming number of nuisance mosquitoes, especially along the salt marshes and big rains inland. And you're right, they don't really transmit disease, but the numbers and the number of bites you can have when those hatches happen are just, through the roof. So you have to control those numbers just to make the outside comfortable and usable. Right. And that's why this program was started, really. But since then, you start to deal with the vector mosquitoes, those that can spread disease. And that's kind of our focus this year in particular, because it's been a very busy West Nile season. Some years it's a little slower. This year has been on the uphill side of that. So overall, there's 44 species in the county. Between nuisance and vector, we only really worry about 14.
Okay.
So there's 30 of them that we rarely see. They don't really bother people. We count them, we ID them, and then we kind of throw them away after we trap them. But those other 14 drive our program, and that's why we do the surveillance we do, and we look for disease in mosquitoes, so we test the mosquitoes themselves, and it dictates where we're going, what we're doing, and how we do it.
Sure. And I remember thinking that this was crazy one of the times that we talked. I think it's the vector mosquitoes. They go in a very small area from where they hatch, right?
Yeah, generally a really short flight range. The southern house mosquito, which we worry about with West Nile, a little bit with eastern equine encephalitis. Usually not much more of a flight range than 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite a mile. And then you got the really short flight range, but luckily the Asian tiger mosquito right now is not a vector disease here.
Okay.
Well, that one's even smaller. I mean, generally with that mosquito, we say if you can see it in your backyard, it probably came from your backyard or your neighbor's.
Yeah.
So it's right there. It doesn't move far.
And this is not a mosquito biting me, I promise. It's just little bugs that are flying around. So let's talk about what happens when there's lots of water. Tropical Storm Debby dropped almost 12 inches of water on us on average, and then it was more in some areas, a little less in some. We had parts of our county that got flooding afterwards, because what drops upriver comes downriver. So we had communities that were flooded. All that standing water makes your job even harder.
So with all the rain, it happened during the West Nile season, and then we had a lot of rain, and a lot of rain brings a lot of mosquitoes. Generally, it is nuisance mosquitoes that come after all that rain, but we also did not lose virus activity. So we really did have a kind of a dual fight happening. And in the places where we had West Nile, that fight worked out well. We could do the nuisance mosquitoes, the vector mosquitoes, all in the same fight using the helicopters and covering a lot of acreage. But we did have to pull out of those West Nile areas and move over to the people that were just swamped with mosquitoes, more or less. And then, because that really helps the recovery effort, because nobody wants to stand out there and try to figure out the damage of their home. The search and rescue teams don't want to fight the mosquitoes on top of that too. So there's a lot going on, and we're just trying to make it way easier to get that work done.
And during the response for Tropical Storm Debby, you guys were actually doing some other stuff for the county too. You were going and getting sand, dropping it at locations so that people could get sandbags. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was something we stood up actually before Debby. We helped out with a lot of the other county agencies. We did the sandbags for facilities maintenance to distribute to all the departments, whoever needed it at their doorstep kind of thing. So that, and we also got about 30 yards of sand for Garden City and City of Savannah, so they could have the sand piles out there so people could make their own sandbags. And then right after Debby, and really before the Ogeechee kind of crested, we did more sandbags, and we had about 450 we put together for the people that live along the Ogeechee River to pick up, and also move some sand, about 20, 30 more yards of sand, so people could bag their own. We worked with Public Works to get that sand trucked and set up a spot and that kind of. So the sandbagging was a really big effort that we usually don't take on quite that much with it, but this time there was just a level with Debby that surpassed other storms that we just had to step up to it and get all that work done.
It was definitely a different type of response for us for storms because of the type of storm that it was. But that also kind of makes me think about, you guys have some other missions that you fulfill because you do have helicopters and stuff. You help out with our law enforcement as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were out and, we do response flights if whatever PD needs, whether it's the city or the county and they need aerial support, we're always happy to help with that. And we have for a good number of years now. But every now and then, sometimes we get called out for fire suppression. We'll work with Department of Forestry and some of the cities or municipalities at a spot they might not be able to reach. So, we've helped out for that with a good number of years. Of course, search and rescue has always been a thing with us too, getting out over the marshes and helping Marine Patrol if they can't get to a spot or something like that.
Right, absolutely.
So wherever we can fill in with the helicopters, we use them for any mission that the county deems basically acceptable, which is basically if you're a county department or somebody in the county and you ask for it, we'll try everything we can to make sure we can support that mission and what needs to be done with the aviation.
Absolutely.
And with Debby, that included kind of inspection flights while the flooding was happening. So we did flights maybe once a day for 3-4 days just to see how the water level was changing. We were getting that footage into the Emergency Operations Center for SEMA. And then that way they had kind of a, here's what's happening right now kind of scenario, and being able to react to it. Yeah,
they were putting that up on the big screen in the Emergency Ops Center, and we could see it back from where our Joint Information Center is. And it was amazing to see. I always enjoy seeing our county from the air because it just looks so different than what we're used to down on the ground. But it was so interesting to see where the water was going and how it was going. So it's amazing that you guys can do those things, and it's a good use of our funding to be able to have multi-uses for our helicopters.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where it becomes cost effective to use the helicopters to a point. I mean, you can use them too much and you start to not be cost effective anymore. But everything so far has really fit into that cost effective range where we can get a good number of flight hours on the helicopters. We get the max of the parts and the fuel and things like that. So it works out really well that we chip in with all these other little side assignments and wherever we can.
Yeah, that's and that is the county serving our residents well, doing all these various tasks with what we already have instead of having to go out and get more. So that's always wonderful. Let's kind of go back to what people can do to make sure that they lower their risk of mosquitoes in their yard. We have something called Tip and Toss. And maybe at the end of this podcast, we'll throw in our new video that we did on that. That was a little humorous take on Tip and Toss. But tell us what Tip and Toss is and why people should do it.
It's pretty much, the name kind of says it, right? Like if it's got water in it, you just tip it over. And if you can throw that thing away, toss it. Don't keep it in your yard so it's just there picking up water the next time it rains. And sometimes it's hard to figure out how small of a piece of trash is really an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get mosquitoes to come out of a bottle cap,
Right.
out of a water bottle cap. I mean, it's pretty rare, don't get me wrong,
Okay,
because
yeah.
they dry out pretty quick.
Yeah.
But if you can get water to sit there for 6 days, 7
Yeah.
days, you can get a mosquito to come out of it. So
Right.
I mean, it's important to think small, and then that makes it hard. You got to really kind of go out and look at your yard and get into the nooks and crannies, and
Mm-hmm.
that one corner of your yard that you forgot about 3 weeks in a row, all of a sudden now you're
Right.
picking up mosquito bites, and
Right.
from a little black stripy mosquito, it could just be that one little thing that got tucked in the corner.
Sure.
Or maybe you forgot to clean your gutters this
Right.
year, and there they go, coming out of the gutter. It really doesn't take long, and they can grab a hold of a little spot pretty quick. So
Right.
it's the biggest thing people can do for their backyard, and it's one of the harder fights for us because we obviously can't get into every single backyard in the county once
Sure.
a week or
Right.
post every single rain to get all those little things out of the way. So
Right.
we know not all mosquitoes are going to come from your backyard. We have big mosquito issues. That's why we're here anyway.
Right.
But it's the best way for people to help us not have to
Sure.
do those little fights. And then also it benefits them, it benefits their neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a container garden out in my front yard, and I tell my husband all the time, because where I live, we get like monster rains. We're close to that I-95 area, and for
Right.
some reason, we just get tons of rain. And I'll tell him all the time, I know it has holes in the bottom, but I can see the water on top. Just tip it over, turn
Right.
it back, so that we don't breed mosquitoes. I do have a question though, because I was in a friend's backyard, and they have a beautiful koi pond.
Mhm.
And first thing that comes to my mind is, oh my God, there's going to be mosquitoes that breed from this. How if you have a koi pond or something like that, how do you keep from breeding mosquitoes there?
Most of the time with koi ponds, people will move their water. So they'll have a
Yeah.
little pump or a little fountain
Right.
with it or something like that. And that's the easiest way.
Okay.
In places where you have fish, just a little bit of that water movement. You need it to kind of aerate the pond anyway.
Right.
It's better for the fish. And that gives you the benefit too of keeping the mosquitoes out. Because if you just get that little ripple across the top of the water,
Okay.
mosquitoes, they generally won't come in and lay eggs.
Okay.
Now, you do have to kind of generate enough of a ripple that it's hitting all the corners of the
Right.
pond. But,
Yeah.
other than that, that's really the biggest thing. Koi themselves generally won't eat anything. But if you're having a problem with it and you are getting mosquito larvae in the corners, you can definitely put little minnows in there with the koi.
Oh.
So, we have gambusia fish here that we give out to anybody that asks.
Okay.
And in a little pond, little koi pond, all you need is probably half a dozen of them.
Oh,
Get
wow.
6 minnows and just let them surf the top of the water, and they'll eat any insect that falls in.
Oh,
Basically.
wow.
So, and they'll gobble up the mosquito larvae whenever they get a chance.
Pro tip, guys.
Yeah.
If you have a problem with a koi pond, just give Ture's group a call.
Yeah, give us a call. We'll have them all ready for you, all bagged and ready to go out the door. I got to do is swing by and grab them, or
Wow.
if we're out in a spot, maybe we'll have a technician there. We might be able to drop them off.
Okay. All right. Well, in our closing minutes of our podcast, what else do you want people to know about mosquito control?
Well, I mean, we're here all the time, basically. I mean, we're a year-round operation too. So that's the latest we've been out in the year is between Christmas and New Year's. We've had mosquito outbreaks here.
Sure.
And then generally our regular season starts mid to early March. So
Yeah.
it seems like it's a seasonal thing, but mosquito season here in Savannah area can go easy 10 months out of the year. So we're always just keeping an eye on them. We run mosquito traps 12
Yep.
months out of the year, just monitoring everything we can, seeing if we need to be someplace. If anybody's got a problem, by all means, get on the My Chatham app or
Okay.
call us. If you call us, we're going to put it in that same place too. But that's a way we track all the citizen issues and all that stuff. So please, if you're having a problem, call us. Let us come out and have a look. Because sometimes it is your backyard. Sometimes it is the neighbors. And we
Sure.
can get a longer term fix by coming out and maybe just correcting a little problem, as opposed to, people asking like, well, just send the helicopter,
Right.
But the helicopter is a quick fix.
Right.
It is. It's a solution to a large mosquito problem happening in a wide area
Mhm.
right now. So if we can get in your backyard and find those little containers, things like that, maybe we can do a quick little fix that, gives you a long summer prevention on most
Right.
of those bites. So
Oh, that's
we're
awesome.
happy to do it and happy to get into the yards and try to take care of those things. But, by all means, get on the My Chatham app, let us know. If you want to know when we're doing aerial sprays, sign up for for the notification system on our website, and then that way, you'll
Mm-hmm.
know when the helicopter is going to be in your area spraying for adult mosquitoes, in case we want to sit inside for it. And we recommend that too,
Yeah,
If you know where we're going to be, just skip that evening's walk, and do it the next
Right.
night or something
Yeah.
like that.
I get those notifications, and usually I'm sitting on my couch and I'll hear the helicopter come over, and I'm like, yep, there they are.
Yep.
So I do enjoy having those notifications. So thank you for doing that. Well, thank you, Ture, for being with us today. Really appreciate all you do for the county and for our residents. And I am sure that we will have you back again.
Yep, I'm here. I'm ready whenever you are.
Thank you. All right, guys, that's it for today's chat. Stay tuned for our tip and toss video, and don't forget to download that My Chatham app.
Want to help reduce mosquitoes? Try tip and toss. If you see standing water and items around your yard, just tip and toss. Removing standing water prevents mosquitoes from breeding. Oh look, something to tip and toss. Tip and toss after every rain or at least once a week. If you're tipping and tossing and still have a mosquito problem, make a service request with Chatham County Mosquito Control to spray your area. Download the free My Chatham app or visit our website, chathamcountyga.gov, to make your request.